When I found human design, I thought it was going to fix everything. 7 years later, I have a story that does not match what I initially thought I would find. We're going to dive into that today.
Welcome to Frequency of Self, your go-to resource for the practical application of human design in life, business, and relationships. If you're ready to experience lasting transformation, hit subscribe. So Brenda, drop us into before human design. Where were you in your business in regards to finding your craft, finding your lane, knowing where to go and all of that?
I felt like I was moving from place to place to place. I have that open G. So trying to figure out where I belong. And I think that's the story of the projector, right? Where do I belong? Where do I fit in? What am I supposed to be doing? And so I had lots of different places. I was trying to get a PhD in neuroscience, and I was locked into this idea of like, that's what I'm going to do, until I literally got the uninvitation to that and felt totally rejected. That was a big struggle and a very hard time in my life for about 2 weeks until I got the invitation to do a master's in functional medicine nutrition. Literally, a friend invited me to do this with her, and I was like, well, yeah, it's my passion. Let's do it. So I finished grad school. I started my business. I was invited by a chiropractor to join his practice and do nutrition with his practice, and felt aligned until it didn't. And then I started my own business and was just kind of chugging along. It was okay. I was trying to figure out, how do I get out there? How do I make myself seen? This is all before human design language. I think I really struggled with that. Trying to figure it out. My business was all referral. And then 2019, I had a personal crisis and business was struggling, and I found human design.
All right. So far, right, just to lay the foundation, and then we're going to move ahead about life after human design, what it looks like. So it's so common before human design, trying to find where you belong, especially as a projector, by finding where you don't belong. And then dealing with health issues because you're trying to find it and not being able to. That's very common as well in so many different projectors' lives. Yeah. And then you get to the point of hitting moments where you're following shoulds within your path and then getting turned down because it doesn't actually fit your energy. And you could hold that bitterness and you continue pushing down that path, and you can continue getting stuck in that space, or you can surrender, you can release control and wait for the invitations that are to come.
Part 1, human design implemented poorly. Often when people find human design, they implement it in a very black and white manner, which could potentially further derail your path in the beginning. There is a balance with human design, and there is a way to implement it so that it doesn't have to be black and white. So once I found human design, I thought I found the magic bullet. At first, it was like, wow, I'm a projector. I see myself so differently now. I understand all of these things that I felt as a child. And that's really how I used it at first. It wasn't this tool to move forward in life. It was a tool to understand my conditioning. In my business, I found functional medicine and nutrition, and I was doing well with that, but realized I also needed the somatic layer. And so I had done neuro-emotional technique. With the somatic work, the neuro-emotional technique that I had learned how to blend these things together and create this new tool so that I could use human design and use the somatic work. By doing this with clients, I began to understand myself. 2020 hit, the COVID, all the things. I got what felt like to me very aligned invitation from a holistic psychiatrist. However, it wasn't as aligned as I thought it was. So I began getting clients that were not aligned. They weren't looking for a guide. They were looking for not what I had to offer, not my mastery.
When you find human design, you're often so focused on the wait for the invitation, but then you say yes to invitations that really are not aligned because you haven't actually run it by the second part of your framework in making decisions in human design is there's wait for the invitation, but then there's also authority. There is nothing worse than being in a spot as a guide and people don't want to actually listen to the advice that you have. the bitterness that can come up is so very real.
What a waste of time and energy.
You find human design, you think it's going to be this magic pill, you attempt to do your strategy, and then you're hit with that not self theme feeling. And that is your first trigger that you're slightly off track.
Yeah. So, well, I'll say this is where I began to really dive into it, because the business took off and I was working 8 hours a week. I was bringing in money. It was good. However, I wasn't aligned. It was not aligned. I was not a guide. And so I really thought, now I'm going to dive into human design. How do I live this aligned life? And I focused on the disempowering pieces. You can only work 3 to 5 hours a day. 3 to 5 hours a day. That means I can't see 7 to 8 clients in a day. That means that I can't work every single day like that. That means that I can't bring in the money that I need to be able to bring in. How do I do this? It caused massive change in my business, which at first felt really awful. And this identity of, I'm a projector, I don't have energy, I have to lots of self-care and I have to rest, and telling my husband, I can't do anything. No, it just became this identity that felt incredibly disempowered. That caused my business to crumble in a lot of ways. So I thought it wasn't aligned, it had to happen. And so I think in many ways I blamed human design. So then I started to back out of it. But once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Some would call it a mind virus.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's only a mind virus if you're holding to it in a way that it's black and white, that it's disempowering. Because the empowering piece of this was, I do have limited energy. I do have to find alignment in a new way. So it allowed me to begin to work through my fears, to work through what was missing in my business, so that I could have both an aligned business and an aligned life, and bring in what I needed to sustain, to survive, and take care of my body, and not be burnt out, and not have all these health issues that I was trying to help other people fix. So it has now allowed me to use human design as a tool and a map to find that alignment, but not live it as a lifestyle. Like, you have to do this, but just to use it as a way to find energy blocks and to move through them. Part 2, finding blocks. So at this point, it's around 2024, and you and I are doing human design documentary stuff. It is an interview with Chetan Parkin talking about projectors and how to be seen. And that's a big block for me. How am I supposed to be seen? He basically says, if you want to be seen, you have to put yourself out there. Put yourself in the environments where you want to be seen, and then the recognition, the invitations come. In that moment, I understand my block. Fear of being seen. I don't actually want to be seen. How am I going to find success if I don't want to be seen? One of the things that I started to do is that when someone would give me a compliment or tell me how they see me, rather than shy away from it, I would actually embody what they're saying. Do I feel this in my body? Is this a truth? And if it is, can I say thank you and sit with it? It helps build confidence in an amazing way.
Whatever that block is, there is going to be discomfort in that area.
Yeah, always.
Right? And you're going to have to grow that discomfort to where you need to become comfortable with that, whether it's being seen, whether it's, receiving compliments in that regard. Another one recently that came up for me was like, if someone offers to pay for something, can you just accept it?
Yeah, receiving.
And not say, hey, no, you don't need to pay for that, right? Like the typical standard thing that we do.
You just say thank you.
Right? I'll be like, oh, that's so good. I do need to work on that. So that's a block. It's like a block that you are stopping yourself from creating abundance in a certain area, or a flow, or you're fighting your flow of life, like whatever it is. You have to grow your level of discomfort in that area. And this is where I think a big nuance in human design comes in, is there's a big difference between resistance that is growth and you needing to go on a growth journey that naturally is a hero's journey where you're going to fight, you're going to hit struggles, you have to overcome those struggles, versus resistance from the universe or God or whatever saying, don't go that way because that's not your path.
Absolutely. And they can feel exactly the same. When your nervous system, when you're not aligned, you're not deconditioned, they can feel exactly the same. So it's hard to trust that authority of like, oh, this is God telling me to move this way, or I'm just afraid to do this. They can feel the same. So it is experimenting with this system and deconditioning and learning where your blocks are, moving through those so that you can truly feel your authority and move down the proper path.
And if you want to go on this journey and have someone to really process your alignment path with, to have someone that can soundboard with you to hear about the journey that you're going on, then we highly suggest join our community. You will find the information in the description below or in the show notes for the podcast. And we look forward to meeting you.
Part 3, authentic alignment.
So now we get into what alignment actually feels like once you have done this work, once you have found blocks. And I will give the caveat that we're both still on the journey. We don't pretend to have gone through the journey and have all the answers.
It's a lifelong journey. It is a lifelong journey because it's not a human design journey. It's the journey of life. Human design is just a tool we're using along the way, right? This is not the 7-year deconditioning journey and then we're fine. No, this is life. And there are always going to be blocks.
Here we are in 2026. In May of 2026, we talked about, you found that in 2024, you alluded to now things feel really flowy and invitations are coming in.
Yeah.
But the way that those things have unfolded, like kind of take us through a path of where you're at in business right now and like what lessons you're learning about human design and business and how to implement it into your life so that it, you do get this sense of success.
I began to use my voice. I got an invitation to speak at Austin Wellness Collaborative, and I was speaking about human design. Someone there heard me speak, saw me, recognized me, and we began collaborating and talking, and we're talking about some retreats and some things that we want to do. And the recognition that came with the invitation is so aligned, so aligned. And I feel very seen. And I don't know where things are going to go. Doesn't matter, right? Innocence, motivation, we're just going to see what happens. But I'm starting to feel what it feels like now to be empowered, to be in the right places, having my open G deconditioned. I'm not looking for identity. I'm just there to feel, is this the right environment for me or is it not? If it's not, I can leave. And if it is, I can speak and use my voice and get those invitations and be seen in ways that I have dreamt of being seen. So it's incredible. It's really incredible when you start to use human design in an aligned way. There's no pushback of, no, yeah, you're seeing me and I know that you're seeing me. That feels like a burden and a heavy pressure. Instead, it's, yeah, that is who I am. And yes, I can do that. Or no, thank you for seeing me. I don't actually want that invitation, right? Now it's getting to say yes or no. It's authentic. I get to just authentically be me and sit in that authenticity and not have to be something I don't want to be or do something I don't want to do. When you implement it the right way as a tool, that's what it does. It helps decondition all the places you're not aligned and then helps you build back up into a life and a business that are cohesive and come together and are both in alignment so you can live your best life. Clearly, you're our people because you've made it to the end of the video. Go ahead and drop us a heart emoji to let us know that you made it to the end. And if you want to watch more, click on the video on the screen. Thanks for watching.